Hey, what's up, guys? Back again with another vlog. It is 3:52 in the morning. I think I just had an existential breakthrough. I don't even know how to explain it. Basically, what happened was I finished reading Warforged by R.C. Hannah. It's a gay romance book in space with aliens and stuff. And I really liked it, okay? I really liked it. And I'm about to read the next thing that he wrote, Stranded Season 9, which came out in February of this year. So I'm excited to read that tomorrow. But after I read that, I just it clicked to me about what I could write. You know, I got really inspired. And I start listening to music, and then when that happens, I get crazy. And I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking just about how vast the universe is and how small everything is. But also just like the infiniteness of it all. You know, like I went down this massive rabbit hole about space-time and the meaning of life and multiverses, and it got me thinking about what I could write about. And I had this idea where I would write 3 books, 3 gay romance books, all completely separate stories, worlds, genres, you name it, but with one connection, one deep connection between all 3, inexplainable, but it makes sense. The protagonist always gets the love interest and falls in love. And the average reader would think, okay, this makes sense. It's a gay romance book. That's what it's all about, right? And it's 3 separate books. All 3 are completely separate, right? But they aren't. They're all secretly in a trilogy. And then the 4th book comes out and explains it all. And it's called A Glint of Blue Sparkle. That's what I thought of. Where that sentence, a glint of blue sparkle, appears in all 3 of those books. And it's never explained in those books what that glint of blue sparkle is. It's just mentioned in the book at some point, in all 3 books, at some point, where it's like, maybe if I write one about sci-fi or space, it could be like a glint of blue sparkle in the stars, or a glint of blue sparkle in his eyes, or a glint of blue sparkle on her ancient pendant. And that sentence, a glint of blue sparkle, connects to the 4th book by the same name. And my idea was that in the 4th book, it's another similar premise. It's a gay romance. But it turns out that all 3 of the books are the same person. Like the protagonist is the same person in all 3. But the protagonists don't realize. It's kind of like a 4th wall break. A metafiction narrative, I think is the term, where the 4th character in the 4th novel realizes that every single universe, every single thing in the world is connected and is destined to happen to everyone at the same time at some point, no matter what. It's all connected by this glint of blue sparkle. And in my fourth book, I was thinking of something like it's another character who dies, and then in the afterlife, they see time, like they become four-dimensional. Like my thought process was that like when they die, they become like a fourth dimensional being of some sort where they can see the timeline of every universe all in one space. And so they can see that these three characters are all the same fundamentally and all exist in different universes, but all at the same time. And kind of how, like, no matter what happens, no matter where you are in the world, no matter how small, no matter how big, it's all the same. It doesn't matter. Everything, everywhere, all at once vibes, you know? It's like time traveling. Like a time traveler narrative, kind of. And the character in that fourth novel communicates, basically, views these other worlds through that glint of blue sparkle. And then that world where that fourth character is also within another glint of sparkle of a different color. Like I want the final sentence of that book to be, and then he sees a glint of orange sparkle or something like that. Or, and then he wakes up and sees it, you know, like I want it to be a narrative within a narrative within a narrative, like infinite possibilities, repeating segments, unending, repeating, finite. Just, I don't know if this makes sense, but I just had this like realization that like nothing matters, right? In the world. We're just like here for some reason on planet Earth in a vast space of inky blackness on a small little rock in a massive, massive black void, which probably consists of other black voids. And yet, we feel bigger than all of it. Every single human on this earth believes that they are bigger than that void. And they are always trying to do what's best for themselves, no matter what. And it will always happen no matter what. The best outcome will always happen no matter what. And the kind of thought process that I have is that with these three original novels, the love interest, you know, it's kind of like destined to happen, you know, like no matter what universe you're in, you will always find the one you truly love. And I want it to be really like emotional, simple, yet very complex at the same time. I want it to be everything, but nothing at the same time. You know, like I find it difficult to explain this concept, but in my mind, I just want it to be so much, yet so little. I don't know, I just feel really inspired right now. And I went on this like large philosophical just like journey after I read that. And I just wanted to think about it, and now I want to write about it. Because that's really all we're trying to do on this earth, right? We're trying to make meaning for our lives in a world where nothing makes sense. in a universe so vast where we don't know all the answers, and yet we try our best to find those answers, to explain those questions, and to try to find purpose and meaning in obscurity. I was thinking of Expedition 33, Clear Obscure, a little bit, and I guess the best example I can give is that game. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't played it. Like at the end, where it's revealed that all the characters are inside a painting, right? It was painted by a paintress or a painter, and that there are multiple paintings. And then what I want to do is I want to go a step beyond that, right? Those painters and paintresses that are painting these worlds are themselves living in a world, right? How do we know that there isn't another level of painters and paintresses painting that world that they live in? And so on and so forth. It's an endless cycle of just more and more and more and more and more, to the point where it becomes nothing. Do you get what I mean? Once you repeat something an infinite amount of times, it becomes meaningless. It becomes nothing, purposeless. If gods have gods, and those gods have gods, how far can you really take it before the gods of the gods of the gods are really just nothing at all? Not even an atom, not even the electromagnetic fields controlling those atoms. You become so big that you end up as nothing at all. What does it mean, you know? What does it all mean? That's the question I'm trying to understand. And the only thing I can think of is love and finding a purpose, even if there isn't one. Because I understand that my brain is a finite thing, and it itself is also meaningless. My thoughts have no purpose. They're simply electrical and chemical signals triggering neurons and synapses in my brain. That's all it is. All these thoughts and consciousness as a concept, the concept of having a concept, the idea of life in the universe and everything that we know. What does it mean? What is it? What does it mean to be a thing? To have matter? What does it matter to matter? What is the Big Bang? Does any of it even exist? Do we exist? It's impossible to understand, which is why I'm so interested by it. I'll never know the answer. No one will ever know the answer. Because there's only so much you can do in a lifetime. And it's impossible to know what comes after death. It's impossible to know the answer to all these big questions. Or really simple questions like, what is the universe? It's a lot, but basically, I just want to write something about gay people. That's really it. I want to write gay romance, but also have that existential aspect to it. You know? Albert Einstein. So, yeah, I was just dancing and listening to some music and just thinking about all of these topics and themes and ideas. It's really interesting to me. I wonder what other people would think of that if I wrote something like that. I think it's very unique. Even though I'm using common tropes, like time travel. And those 3 first books, those probably would already have existed in some way or another. Common genres and all that stuff. It's truly impossible to write something completely unique. Because people already enjoy the stuff that they're familiar with, We're scared of the unknown. No one likes the unknown because it's truly terrifying. That's why we're scared of the dark. We don't know the unknown. We don't know what's hiding in the dark. We don't know if the universe is infinite or not, how big it expands. What happens if we can see past the boundaries of the universe, if there is a boundary, it's just such a wild concept to me that the universe is infinite or always expanding. I don't know, just that's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me to think about that, the infiniteness of it all. What does it mean? Scientifically, I can kind of understand. But philosophically, it's a whole nother story. A story that I could write about. But first, I have to actually write a book. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I haven't even written a book yet. That would be really hard to do, seeing as I don't have a lot of writing experience. But I have ideas. I want to write a fantasy book. I want to write something scary or gothic, vampire vibes. I don't know, something monstrous. And then maybe something sci-fi, space, explore the universe a little bit, new worlds. Warforged is a sci-fi novel. It takes place in space. And I really enjoyed it. There's a lot you can do with space. I was also thinking of maybe superheroes. I feel like that's also a pretty easy way to do something gay. I don't know, there's a lot you can do. An infinite number of things I could do, but I can't do it all. It's impossible to do it all. That's the worst part. You can't do everything. I feel like I'm trying so hard to do everything and be the best at everything, but that's just not feasible. Some people will be better at other things, and that's okay. People have their niches, people have their strengths, people have their weaknesses. That's totally normal, and it should be accepted. So yeah, Anyways, this vlog has gone on long enough, but I've just been thinking a lot about that. It kind of blows my mind. I just want to make an impact on the world, a positive one, preferably. That's what I want to do with my life. As a teacher, I want to reach people. In a world where nothing has meaning or purpose or value, how do we as humans find that meaning and purpose and value? Some people do it through religion. They believe in an afterlife and doing good deeds for the sake of doing good deeds. Some people have a global or political mindset, climate change, or doing things that would benefit other people. Others, for the sake of self-fulfillment, they want to do things that make them happy, sometimes selfishly. But I think we can all understand that and agree that all of us do things in life for a certain reason. And that reason is because we want to have a purpose and a meaning in life. And that applies to anyone. Even people who say that they don't have a purpose or meaning in life. They do. Their purpose in life usually is to be happy, is to enjoy life. For the people who want to kill themselves, it applies there too. For them, they think that they have a greater purpose outside of life. Or maybe they don't see life the same way as other people do. And the ideas and concepts around death intrigue them. They believe. And trust me, I've been there. I get it. A lot of people kill themselves because they have a hard time in life. They can't cope. And then they end it all because they believe that the best thing to do for themselves is to end their lives. And now we don't know what happens after death. So they calculated and they believed that that's what was best for them. I don't necessarily agree with that. But then again, we don't know what happens after that, after death, with 100% certainty until you actually die. So maybe it was the right move. Who knows? It's a fascinating idea. I feel like a lot of people who commit suicide, it's usually for two reasons. Either one, they hate themselves, or they can't bear to live any longer. Or two, they did it for, because of other people. Like they believed that they weren't of worth to anyone, that they didn't matter. They couldn't find a purpose or meaning or value in their life. They couldn't figure that out. And so they killed themselves because of Isn't that crazy? It's a lot to think about, you know? Meaning, purpose, value in life. To me, and to a lot of people, it seems like a big concept, because we are living beings and we're alive and thinking and breathing. But then also in the grand scheme of things, it's so finite and limited and small. How do we know that life is all there is to have? Considering death and non-existence is much faster and much greater than life. Just look at the universe. How much of it is vast and empty and black and nothing at all? How do we know? How do we know that life is all there is? We don't. We don't even know what nothing is. Saying that nothing is not a reasonable explanation. Because nothing can't exist. It doesn't make sense. What does it mean? What does it mean to have nothing, to be nothing? There's always something. There's always something. Nothing can't exist without something. The concept of nothing can't exist without something. If nothing were real, then it would be everything. Because if there was something, then it wouldn't be nothing anymore. This isn't nothing, there's air in there, And within those air particles, there's atoms. Within those atoms, there's protons and electrons, and then electromagnetic fields, and then there's probably more stuff that we can't research. How do we know that there's nothing, truly nothing? It's impossible. It's impossible to know for certain whether there really is something or nothing. Anyways, I'm going to go to bed now. I need to stop thinking about this and go to sleep. Good night.